the smart contract is so important. We can't afford to have junior people.
I know, but it's like, how do
Yeah,
you
but
become a senior then?
how do you become senior?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, which is the hard part, yes. So that's why you're taking this class to become senior.
Like how would you determine if you were interviewing somebody like in Solidity, whether they were like more junior or senior?
Well, I'll just take a look at their code and maybe ask them to code something up and see how they do things.
Would you do that like live with them, or would you?
Live, I don't know. I usually just look at their code base and look at their experience.
Would you take into account their DGen score?
Their what?
Their DGen score?
I don't really care.
Underneath too, yeah. Pushing it. Worked out. So, yeah.
Okay, folks. Today, well, before we talk about anything, yeah, let's let some people in. I can't quit this. How was the midterm in terms of difficulty, you guys? What did you think? It was appropriate, it was too hard, too easy?
I thought it was just like vague. Yeah, that's how I felt too.
Okay.
Maybe just a little bit more directional.
I thought the difficulty was fair, but I think it was a little bit confusing reading the paragraph, but then like the test cases would bring out requirements that like the paragraph description didn't like talk about, which is okay, I think, but you have to kind of like really go into the test cases
Yeah.
and look. It's like, oh, it wants me to admit an event.
Yeah.
Or like in the paragraph description, it talked nothing about events.
Yeah, I just kind of said they should be emitted when appropriate.
Yeah. But no, besides that, I thought it was
English is my second language. No. Yeah. I'll certainly improve. I know there are some kind of vague wordings in the questions, but I think most of you guys did relatively well. Yeah. So I think the difficulty is more or less on par with 114. You'd say. Yeah.
The only thing I wish above like the functions of the interface, there's more comments, like there wasn't a word for it, like clear direction of what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
That would be more.
kind of following on that. Some coding exams, they have like a comment. It's like, oh, your code here.
Yeah.
Like kind of explicitly. I didn't know if you wanted to leave that out to the student to figure out where to code, or if you want to give them that like, oh, like enter, like this is the function that you're writing, like enter the code. But
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty
yeah.
implied, but I don't know, maybe some,
Yeah, it's
maybe it caught
implied.
some students up.
It's implied, yes. I'll add that next time. So because the thing is, you can add variables, you can declare other functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't change the existing ones, you can add modifiers. So there would be a lot of your code here comments.
That makes
if I
sense
had-
too.
yeah. But I'll do a better job at responding to you more quickly. Okay, today we are talking about deployment and verification of smart contracts. So we've kind of finished talking about Solidity stuff, like how to like the new concepts in Solidity, like new types, new data structures, new concepts. That's pretty much all behind us mostly. So now we're going to try to actually deploy a smart contract that we wrote onto the testnet or the mainnet if we're rich. And then we're going to do something called verification, which will allow us to verify the source code. Okay, so let's talk about deployment first. All right. Deployment is just the act of uploading your contract onto a live network as opposed to like I mean, deploying onto a local fake blockchain is also called deploying. But that's mainly used for testing, and you've seen how testing kind of works. In homework 3-4 in the midterm, there are testing scripts that I wrote. So what they do is basically they hard hat spins up, which is the hard hat, it's like the development environment. It spins up a hard hat spins up a local fake blockchain, an empty one. And then in the testing script, I explicitly deploy the contracts and then run and then call them and then check the results if they match with what I expected them to be. So that's like deploying onto a local fake blockchain. But today we're going to talk about deploying it onto a non-local, a live blockchain network, mainnet or testnet. So who can tell me the difference again, if you guys remember, main versus test, different networks.
Main is like the Ethereum network, testnet would be like Kovan or like Gana or whatever, all those like fake ones we were using that give you kind of like unlimited currency to play with.
Yeah, so basically, yes, so the main difference is that the one that's relevant is mainnet. On mainnet, you're playing with actual money. On testnet, you're playing with fake money. All right. And there are like different consensus mechanisms on the mainnet and some of the testnets. Like for Kovan, it's not very decentralized. It's proof of authority, basically meaning there's like a set number of validators that are processing. But because it's a testnet, nobody cares because everything's fake anyways. So centralization is fine. It's a sacrifice to kind of improve performance on testnets. But for the mainnet, obviously we need decentralization because we're playing with everyone's money. And Russia, I don't know if it's official yet, but they either already have or they're in the process of getting kicked out of SWIFT, if you guys have heard. And if you don't know what SWIFT is, it's an international interbank messaging protocol that allows for international money transfers. So if Russia is kicked out, I don't know if because it's just a messaging protocol. So I think it's still possible to do interbank transfers like in and out of Russia, but I'm inclined to think with all the sanctions going on, foreign banks will be hesitant to do business with Russian banks. And interestingly enough, before the Ukraine thing started, Putin, I think he legalized crypto. I wonder why. But now, hey, there's like Russia is now more or less forced to use crypto, I think, in the future because their currency is effed at this point. Like there is kind of a bank run happening. So
The lines.
yeah, they're trying to yeah.
I heard that, one of the solutions that could have happened is like China extending them a line of credit.
Yeah, but then China will be seriously screwing themselves over by doing this.
How so?
Because I don't know, it's just gonna. I don't know it's politics again, but I just don't know how closely China really is aligned with Russia. Besides the fact that like I don't know what she sees in Putin. I'm not an expert, but I'm just not sure if she's prepared to like go that far in terms of helping Putin. And I don't know. I feel like this entire thing is it's a bad thing for everyone, right? It's bad for Ukraine because they just got invaded. It's bad for Russia because the economy is already not so good, and now there's just a death blow, and a bunch of soldiers are kind of just like 20-year-olds getting sent to the front lines and dying. It's like a lose-lose situation. Besides the fact that they are now forced to use crypto more or less because no one will want to deal money with them anymore.
I heard that that's actually like a fear is that like if we cut off SWIFT and all these sanctions and force Russia to like actually like turn to crypto as a solution or like a temporary solution, it becomes now that like
And crypto is like
crypto is a very
Russia.
Russian thing now. So it's
Yeah.
like if you like America, it's like kind of, I don't know, going back to the Cold War or whatever, like if you associate with crypto, now you're associating yourself with the Russians. And so now the Americans are going to be very anti-crypto because the Russians become very pro-crypto, something like that. So there's a lot of concerns that like if Russians really start embracing crypto, that a lot of other nations might like have a negative view on it because it becomes so heavily.
Yeah.
So if you're any Russian business, bank or anything else, your like accounts payable will start having to get paid in crypto basically.
Yes, I mean, right now, like, the impact is already, it's even being felt by the Russian YouTubers. They can't get paid anymore. I mean, they do get paid, they just can't get the money. It's only sitting in their YouTube account, but they can't actually get it because the money is kind of
You
blocked.
can't transfer it to.
Yes, yes. And also someone mentioned in chat, Ukraine also used crypto to raise money. You know, if you heard of that. What's the DAO called? I forgot. But Vitaly kind of retweeted it or something. I think they managed to raise like 10 million. Yeah. Yeah, Ukraine, they used it to raise money.
Yeah, I saw one
That's
thing where
crazy.
raising money
That's actually-
crypto as like incentives for Russian soldiers to like give up.
Oh yeah, that's also a thing. They said if you just give up or something, then you'll receive, I think, the equivalent of 60K US dollars,
Yeah.
which is a lot of money.
50K?
Yeah. I don't know if that's real, but even if it's just 6K, it's still a lot of money for a Russian soldier.
Yeah.
Because I think I read somewhere they're only getting paid hundreds, 200-300 euros per month or less, I don't even know. Yeah, so. Yeah, but it's a sticky situation. Anyhow, I was gonna say, I think that's a legitimate concern that crypto will be associated with Russia, but or just not Russia in general, but you know, there's like another reason to be anti-crypto. But I think something like crypto can be compared to the internet, like just because Russia uses the internet to, you know, or any country, including China, whatever, any country that uses the internet to do things that other countries don't agree with, you know, they could just ban the internet, but that's only happened in China so far on a massive scale. They actually banned the internet, like on like some websites. But I feel like that's going to be kind of crypto. Maybe they'll like blacklist addresses. Like if you guys remember the USDC contract we saw, there was like a blacklist thing in there. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think banning crypto as a whole is a bit. I think people also think that. I hope that people will see that as a bit too much.
How, you know, we talked earlier about if you deploy a contract on the mainnet, then there's nothing that you can do to change it. So how do they append new addresses onto that blacklist? Or is it?
Well, you can't change the logic, but you can change the storage.
I see.
So you remember, if you remember homework 4, what we're doing is the payment splitter or something. You're still modifying the contract, right? You're modifying the balance that every single person holds, and that's after deployment. So it's the same thing for the blacklist.
And
So the logic of the logic of the owner being able to add someone to the blacklist, that's immutable. But the blacklist itself is mutable. Remember the difference between contract code and contract storage. So the logic is the code. The storage variables are the storage. So the variables I declare outside the functions are the storage. And these can be modified if there is a pre-existing logic, piece of logic to modify.
to a certain extent, isn't that kind of like the antithesis of crypto? Because that would be censorship.
Yes. Exactly.
So, but it can still happen.
Yeah, can happen.
Question on that, I know like on the midterm, you're saying use,
Let's talk about it next time.
okay,
Let's talk about it on Wednesday.
yeah, sounds,
Yeah, but not to cut you off, but this is also why, so even without smart contract, let's say in Bitcoin, right? There's no programming capability, so you would think that there's no way to ban someone, right? But there still is, because miners can come together and declare that if we see a transaction from this certain address, we'll just drop it. So if the miners can also collectively blacklist someone, even without the use of smart contracts.
You need 51% miners, so right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the world has more than 51% in Russia at this point. Yeah. So if enough, but again, this is an issue of consensus, right? Let's say USDC just starts blacklisting people randomly. Then people can decide to not use USDC and jump elsewhere, USDT or UST, whatever. There are like a lot of other stablecoins out there that people use. So I still think, you know, although censorship is possible in crypto, but I think that it is also much easier for people to make alternative choices in crypto. Because if you start to censor everyone, then people can choose simply to not use it.
So I just want to be clear on this.
Yeah.
It really is as simple as like USDC's core team saying like, Jack is, or we'll just use an example, Jake is doing some sketchy stuff. We want to ban.
Almost said the S word. Yeah, it is that easy. And they can lose control just as easily if someone decides, well, not as easy because I assume they're using some kind of multi-sig wallet. But if someone, you know, managed to get their private key, they can just like kill USDC in an instant.
I'm just curious, how is Russia not paying for their military supplies?
How are they not paying?
Or how are they paying?
I don't know, maybe they're not paying. And I think they're mostly like, they either already have stockpiles or they're more or less self-sufficient. I like to think. I'm not an expert, but yeah. But definitely the money has to come from somewhere, and that's why we're doing sanctions. But also the sanctions is also a way to, it's sad, but it's a way to pressurize the like civilians and make it so that like the government kind of,
You have to do something.
yeah, because the civilians are not happy.
Other than like kind of like checking past transactions, like tracking where money is going, is there any like metadata or like data that you can use to like identify if it's Russian or not?
Unless someone along the chain of addresses gets doxxed or something, and then maybe you can trace back and, you know, have like an educated guess, but it's still a guess. And this is why, you know, as Chaz said in 256, everything's pseudonymous. It's not completely anonymous because everything's traced, but it's not like fully doxed because you really don't know who these people are.
And that's just because you could always make another.
Yeah, making a new account is trivial.
Yeah.
And also if you're using an exchange, and let's say one that's based in Malta or something, and which is, let's say, not subject to US laws. And if the US authorities wants to know who that person is, because what happens is let's say I'm on Coinbase and want to receive somebody, you want to send some crypto to me. When I click on deposit, it will give me like a QR code and an address. That address is dynamically generated. And when you send money to me on the Block Explorer, it's gonna be sent to one of Coinbase hot wallets. And you won't know, like, and you don't really know who that person is, only Coinbase does. But let's say Coinbase is now based in Malta, and the US wants to do something about it, but if they're not subject to US laws, then they don't have to disclose anything, because US laws are not enforceable on some European island.
Yeah.
So that's also a way that an exchange can help kind of mask who you are. But, you know, on ramps and off ramps, like fiat on and off ramps are still ways to detect like who's who.
Yeah.
But they're only known by exchange.
On that, like, what is kind of the legality of crypto in terms of like taxes right now? Because I know like Venmo came out with something saying that they're gonna be like taxing, I think it's if you spend more than like $3,000 or like.
It's capital gains. And
So is crypto taxed at capital gains?
yes,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But like, how is the way to know that it's like?
well, the IRS doesn't know until they do, and then you get screwed.
Yeah, okay.
Unless you move to like Puerto Rico, I think tax free, I don't know.
They're only going after the big guys too, right? Like,
They are, I mean, unless
they're
you're.
not gonna go after you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you have like a couple of ETH and you're doing some things on chain, like they're not.
Yeah.
It's not worth their time to come after you.
Yeah.
I have one small funny story.
Yeah.
I originally started investing in crypto on Robinhood, and then I learned like, oh, this is just not the move, and you know you can't get it off Robinhood. So,
GameStop.
yeah, and so I was like, I took it off, and then I realized like after I'd done, I'm like, oh, I have to,
Pay taxes.
even though I went straight to like Coinbase and bought the same amount. I'm like,
Yeah, every single buy and sell, even between cryptocurrencies, are taxable events in the US. Yeah, not tax
It's a big
advised,
issue.
but and no tax avoidance advice either.
Is it a tax when you send it? If you were to send it, say you have 2 wallets and you send it,
I don't think, if you don't convert it, then I don't think so. See what's in the chat. Every transaction is taxable. I think every conversion, like buy or sell, they're taxable, I think.
Is it that way between currencies? Like if I were to buy like euros with like USD?
No idea, I've never tried to do any Forex stuff.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but I think crypto is taxed pretty heavily. I mean, what is it within 1 year, 30%? Yeah.
Thanks.
Highway robbery,
Yeah,
but you still gotta pay.
yeah.
Yeah. What can you do? Okay, let's move on, all right? So let's talk about the two kind of development tools that we're using, Hardhat versus Truffle. Hardhat, you already know. It's very good for writing and testing contracts. It's what we've been using to grade in homework 3, 4 in the midterm, all right? It's very good for testing because you can actually print variables in Solidity, which is impossible normally, and we'll talk about it towards the end. But just know that Hardhat is very good for writing and testing. But Hardhat, it doesn't have a native deployment system. All right, so it doesn't have a system where you can easily deploy a contract with 1 or 2 lines. You got to write like the entire script by yourself, and you have to keep track of like where it's deployed, when, everything on your own. It's very annoying. There is a plugin called Hardhat Deploy, but the documentation is atrocious, and by atrocious I mean it's like reading a math textbook. Like it's correct, but you don't know like what the heck it's talking about. And I'm sure it's correct because I've seen people using it, but I've tried reading it 3 times so far, and every time like I kind of just lost interest within 20 seconds because I don't know what the heck they're talking about. It's like it's basically a list of features, but it doesn't tell you where to start. So we don't use Hardhat for deployment, at least I don't. What I do is I use Truffle, right? Truffle's it's not bad at writing and testing contracts. It's just not as good as Hardhat. All right, it's like this is normal. This is great. Okay, but it does have a native deployment system, and this is very good because it keeps track of when something's deployed. It keeps track of like the deployment transaction, the contract's address after deployment, and in the future when you talk about updatable contract, we also keep track of the different versions, which is like very, very handy. So Truffle has a native deployment system, which saves up a lot of time. And the conclusion is we'll just use both, right? They are totally fine. They can coexist within a single project, and that's what I've done for the past year or 2. So my project folder would have both Hardhat and Truffle. And I use Hardhat for developing and Truffle for deploying.
When you say deployment system, do you mean like that left bar we had in Remix where
Yes.
like populated buttons and stuff?
Yes. In Truffle, it's just 1 or 2 lines, and then you keep track of, because once you deploy, you have to know where it is to call it,
Yeah.
right? Hardhat doesn't tell you any of that by default. You have to write scripts on your own to print it out on screen. If you want to save it to a file, you have to write a script yourself to save it to a file.
Yeah, okay.
For Truffle, it does that automatically and has a certain format, which is very, very nice. And it's especially good if you're going to use it, if you're going to grab the compiled. So it's something that we call it an API. So not an API. I know some of you prefer an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. Right, I think. So an API, basically think of it as an interface for other people to call your software. And API stands for an application binary interface. It's more or less the same thing, but it's a JSON file with like the compiled versions of code in it. And then it also has a list of also like interfaces in JavaScript to tell the browser with the front-end frameworks how to interact with the contract. And it only contains public and external functions. All right. And Truffle keeps track of all this and generates all that for you. Hardhat does, But because it doesn't keep track of like the address and whatnot in the same file, and it's not structured because you gotta write it yourself. Using truffle is just a lot more standardized and easy, right? So this is why we adopt the hybrid approach here. Okay. So deploying with truffle, so we're gonna run through the steps first, and then we'll show you how to actually do it. Okay. So deploying with truffle, first we'll install truffle and the dependencies, and then we'll set up how we'll kind of configure truffle. After that, we're gonna write a deployment script, which is literally like 4 lines. It's so easy. Really, it's just 1 line, to be honest. The others are like semantics. And then we'll actually deploy by running the script. It's super straightforward, right? But before we get to that, let's also talk about verification first, okay? So after we deploy, we can opt to verify our contracts on chain. And verification is basically verifying your source code on Etherscan. And the way that you do it is you compile the local source code to bytecode and then compare it to the existing bytecode on Etherscan. And if they match, then Etherscan knows that your local source code is kind of source code of the on-chain contract. And that's how we got to see USDC source code, because they verified it, right? And one of the reasons why you want to do that is it generates trust, because if you're not afraid to show the source code, then it means you don't have anything to hide, right? But be basically showing all the users what your logic is, right? So there's nothing malicious and nothing sketchy about it, because you're kind of putting it out there for everyone to see, okay? Also, another good thing, verifying a contract actually gives us the ability to call functions from Etherscan directly, and it's and I'll show you how that works in a bit. All right, but it kind of turns Etherscan gives it like a remix interface for calling functions, which is pretty convenient sometimes. Okay. All right, so verifying, we also do verification with Truffle, right? We install there's a Truffle Verify plugin that we'll install. We also have to register an account on Etherscan and get an API key, okay? And then we'll configure the Verify plugin and then finally verify. So you gotta deploy it first and then verify, okay? And let's just open this file for now, keep it aside. But for now, let's try to actually deploy and then verify something, okay? We're going to be deploying our homework 4 onto the Koban testnet, okay? And the first step that we have to do, okay? Let's see here. We need to add a few things to our homework 4 files, and let me show you here. Okay, so if you open up your homework 4, go to the root directory. There's something called package.json. Open that up. And then what I want you to do is add the lines in green within this dev dependencies bracket. Okay, add the lines that are marked in green. And let me know when you've done it. And copy it exactly as is if you want it to be bigger.
Just at the bottom or?
Hmm?
Just at the bottom? Or within the contract? In homework 4?
Oh, it's in the file called package.json. In the root
Oh,
directory
I see.
here.
Which ones, sorry?
Huh?
Which ones did you say to copy?
The ones in green.
Oh, 66.
Did you just get that from the link on the slides?
No, you have to copy it yourself. Well, this is, you open up your homework 4 repository. Open up your homework for your local copy of homework 4.
Oh, you're saying just type that in?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So 3 lines. And I'll explain what they do, all right? This one, obviously, I mean, they obviously have something to do with truffle, right? This one's truffle itself. This one is the plugin that we use to verify things. This is what we use to be able to use our, if you guys remember, our seed word from the fourth, fifth lecture, I forgot. Right, so that allows us to import the seed words and use it to deploy. Right. And also, fun fact, I found out the other day that someone is running a script on my on the class, kind of like my MetaMask, which is like I showed the private key or the secret words to it in that lecture. Someone's running a script where if you send any money to it, it'll be instantly transferred out. Someone has a script running to constantly check if there's an incoming transaction, and when there is, it just transfers the money out immediately.
Did you post it on, did you post it?
Well, I mean, it's in the recording, so everyone knows what it is.
I don't think I know.
But I never posted it publicly.
So it has to be someone from this class, it
It's
can't
gotta
be
be
like
it's gotta be someone that we know. It's someone that we know. Because the other day I made the mistake of sending 10 phantom like FTMs to this address, and it was instantly transferred out with an absurdly high gas price, meaning that that person really wanted miners to prioritize that transaction. But it's fine. It was only like $20, but yeah, it was interesting. But also, interestingly enough, my Koban balance wasn't drained, meaning that they're not interested in fake money. But I'm surprised, like they even had it on Phantom. Like, who does that? I never even talked about that blockchain.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused how we got here. I sort of missed the beginning, so.
So we just opened the file called package.json in your homework 4 folder,
Got it, and then
and
also a little embarrassing, but I just need to ask.
yeah,
For all these past assignments,
Mhm.
if I like exit out of Visual Studio,
yeah.
I don't know how to recover the file back from my computer, get it like read. So open it back up to Visual Studio.
When you clone it, you often told it to be saved somewhere.
I save it.
Yeah, well, what you do is you go to file, or we can do, but file, open folder, and then you just reopen that folder.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, let me know when everyone's done this part.
Hey, Jack, so you want us to add that line and type?
3 lines, yes.
Yeah.
2 lines.
Yeah.
So there's one up top, two under.
On the same place, right? So like.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, so line 35 and then
60, 61. I just added them in alphabetical order, but it's really up to you. It doesn't have to be in order.
okay.
Yeah.
We're transferring these over to, what are we doing with these lines?
So we're just installing truffle related packages that we can deploy and verify a contract.
Oh, I see.
Homework for a contract on chain.
Do we run that through what terminal?
Yes, I'll show you. In a bit. Okay. Let me know who. Yeah.
Or can we also like use an NPM or something to?
Sure. You can.
Okay, we just prefer to write it in like just into the package.json.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. You can do npm install or npm or yarn add, whatever.
Okay.
Let me know who hasn't done this yet. Okay, everyone's done it. Okay. So our next step involves the link in the keynote presentation that I posted. It should lead to a file called truffleconfig.js. All right, the file looks something like this. Okay, download that file and then drop it into your homework 4 folder directly. Okay, be placed in the same folder as package.json, okay? So download that file from GitHub and then place it into that folder.
That's the one that was on the slides.
It's the one on the slides, yes.
So if we ever get a new computer, do we have to redo all this?
No, as long as you, so this is the great thing about, about NPM, which is, even if it's a new computer, all you need to do is reinstall Node, which is like
What we did at the beginning.
yeah, and then all you have to do is type in NPM CI and everything will come out.
Cool.
For some reason, if I just open up, you know, my ITP this folder,
Yeah.
the Finder, I can't see anything. And none of the files are there. It's only whenever I do it through VS Code that it works.
Oh, let's take a look.
Yeah, this is on the.
Every time for class, whenever I download this, I always put this folder.
Yeah.
And just nothing is there.
What's that?
That's what I just downloaded here, but like, for example, like
Okay, let me take a look.
yeah.
Is that the same folder? That's the one you open in your Finder.
Right, wait.
No, it's different. It's not there. It's here. Oh,
So it's just.
it's here.
Okay, thanks.
Is what's saved on our laptop,
Hmm?
which is a local copy of what's on GitHub.
Yes.
I recommend getting GitHub desktop too.
Yeah.
If you guys don't want to do things like with a terminal or you're not like super programmer
Yes.
like friendly, GitHub desktop is like, I use it, I don't even use it.
Me too, I use it.
Because it's so
Okay.
easy, you just get GitHub desktop, download the app, and then you can like play with your repositories and you can like click open in VS Code, it'll open up the whole repository in VS Code, etc.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate that.
It's also very handy for merge conflicts.
Yeah, it's just better than the command line version.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who likes bin.
Yeah, I know there's some like.
But there are some that are very
guys
good.
that really want everything to it, like, you know.
Yes, yes. Okay. Let me know when you all have this file downloaded and saved into the folder, okay?
This is not my
Yeah, this is. See exactly this file. These two files are here.
All right, has everyone done it? Let me know if anyone hasn't done it yet, all right? And if you don't have a working copy of homework 4, homework 3 is also fine. Okay, are we good to move on, more or less? You'll see some back and forth.
And that goes into package.
It's in the same folder as package.
Okay, got it.
So like on the same level as it,
And should I be seeing that VS Code?
yes. Okay, it should look something like this, all right? And we can ignore all this more or less, okay? You can read about it later. You can read it yourself later, all right? What we're interested in is it's whatever is inside, starting from line 25, okay? So we see there's something called networks, okay? So I've given you three networks to work with. The first one, development, okay? And you see the host, this is an IP address, by the way, and think of an IP address as like it's kind of like the equivalent of like a website name, right? But this is a special one. This points to your own computer. It's something called local host. So it points to your own computer. And this is basically the network that would exist if you run your blockchain locally. Okay. We're not using this because Truffle doesn't run like a local blockchain on its own, like Hardhat. You have to run a separate one in order for Truffle to work. But for Hardhat, it's like self-contained, which is good. All right, so we don't have to worry about this one because we do it with Hardhat. This Kovan, all right, this is our test net, all right. This is our Kovan test net, and there are 3 parameters in there that I want you to look at. First one is called providers, okay? And what provider does is basically it generates a new HD wallet provider. Now, what is an HD wallet? An HD wallet is, and HD is not, it doesn't stand for high definition, all right? It stands for, I think, hierarchical deterministic or something. So basically, it's a wallet that uses this a set of seed phrases to deterministically generate private keys, right? So which is what MetaMask uses. Okay. So we're creating a new kind of seed word wallet. Let's just call it that. All right. It takes in 2 parameters. The first one is the mnemonic, which is basically the 12 secret phrases that we got from the MetaMask lecture. Okay. And the second parameter, this is a gateway. Okay. And in this case, we're using an Infura gateway. This is actually my gateway. Fortunately, it's a free tier, so even if you abuse it, I won't get charged. But please don't. You can use it, just use it like a normal person. Okay. But this is basically defining our connection to the blockchain network. Okay. There's also something called network ID, right? And basically for every single network, there's a different ID. The mainnet has an ID of 1, or nowadays it's called chain ID, right? Mainnet has 1, Kovan 42. What else? Let me take a look at my, let's see. Let's take a look at my production file. What are the different IDs? The Matic testnet has a network ID of 80001. Binance Smart Chain testnet network ID 97. Robson network ID 3. Let's see what else. Binance Smart Chain mainnet 56. Avalanche 43114. Matic mainnet 137. So you see they all have different chain IDs, and the point of having them is to uniquely identify each network. Okay. There's also something called skip dry run. So that basically means dry run means like a fake transaction, more or less. Like it does a run through that's read only. It just sees if it works. And I've never really seen it I don't really think it's like worth the effort, it's worth the time. It just saves you time, you just skip it. It doesn't really affect anything. So we usually just skip it. Okay. And let's take a look at this mnemonic variable. This is a variable, by the way. And where is this mnemonic variable coming from? It's coming from something we defined in line 23. You don't have to write any of this. You don't have to understand it. I just want you to more or less know like what it is. Okay. So FS, we got it here, line 22. FS stands for file system. This is a way for us to read from local files. Okay. Read file sync. It means we want to read a file immediately. .secret is the name of the file. And we transfer its contents to a string, and we trim any white spaces before or after it. And what is the .secret file? Now you have to create this one yourselves, but remember this very, very nice seed phrase that I got at least, all right, during that lecture. This is what the .secret file should contain. Okay, it is the seed phrase of your private key or wallet, whatever. Okay, so all you have to do is click on this, create a new file called .secret, and then save the words into it. Okay. And if you can't access them, if you never saved it, then you're out of luck. I don't think MetaMask allows you to. I don't think. Actually, I don't know if MetaMask can. I think it can only export private keys, right? I don't think it can export the actual phrase. At least I haven't found a way to do it at 2 a.m. But you know, it's no big deal. You can just create a new one, okay? Or you can use this one. It's up to you. And after that, okay, after you do that, go to this file called gitignore. And at the end, just add .secret to it. So what this is doing is basically telling GitHub to ignore this file so that it doesn't get saved onto GitHub, so that in the future, if you make your repository public, others don't see your secret file. Okay. Is everyone following along okay?
So if you're getting ignored, you just go at the end of said .secret.
Just add, start a new line, just type in .secret. If you look into it, basically the gitignore file, it has a list of folders and files that, you know, it tells GitHub to ignore.
What's the, maybe you've been on this in the previous lecture, what's the point of .secret? Like, why can you do like a .text and then add text words there and then put that on big ignore?
Oh, okay. So in Mac OS, if you name something something is it hidden? Actually, let's take a look.
You said added at the very end for gitignore.
The very end. Okay, yeah. So at least on Mac OS, if you start a file name with a dot, then or a folder name with a dot, then it's hidden. So in Finder, you won't be able to see it. On Windows, not so much. Okay. And you can call it whatever, right? You can call it dot password, dot phrase, or something. You just have to modify what's here. Okay. Right? Are we all kind of following along? Okay.
Wait, sorry, Jack, could you slow down for a second? So you
Yeah.
want to create, you wanted us to add a line that says .secret to the gitignore file?
Yes.
Okay.
So that GitHub won't ignore this file,
Mhm.
so that it won't get uploaded. So that others will be able to see it easily.
And then next, we were supposed to go back to this .secret and just add a.
Add in your seed phrases from the MetaMask structure.
Uh-huh.
You said it's fun for years.
I don't prefer it, but it's fine.
Sorry to say. I'll make another one. I just didn't write mine down.
And then what did we have to type into
Is it?
the truffle config?
We don't add anything to it.
Oh, okay.
Did you say not use the actual garbage?
Yeah, because that's mine. You should use yours. Because I have a limited amount of Cove and ETH. And if everyone uses it, it's gonna run out.
Yeah.
And getting it, it's not hard, it's just annoying. I don't wanna go through it. Because you all already should have like enough Cove and ETH in your MetaMask accounts from like that lecture, so it'll just be easier that way.
So you're saying like for line 43, have something different or have
No,
the secret first?
this one,
Oh,
the secret file. We don't modify anything to Truffle config yet.
okay.
So Jack, this is all an alternative to just putting your contract code in Remix and then just deploying on the left side, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Why do it this way?
because, let's see, in homework 4, right here. Okay, I don't think I did it here. I think I did it for this. But I don't want to show it, but basically, when there's something called, we haven't gotten to it yet. There's something called Open Zeppelin contracts. Okay, and these are a bunch of contract presets that you can use. Components you can use to build out your smart contract, and I'll show you what's in it. Okay, let's find Open Zeppelin here.
Oh, just like public
Contracts.
stuff.
Let's see, access, look, ownable. It has an ownable that we can just take and use.
Okay.
It has access control, which is a more sophisticated ownable. It has, what else? Payment splitter, look, I didn't even know this existed, okay. They have a payment splitter, which is more complicated than what we have. Vesting wallets, okay, there's like governance stuff, time lock controller. The ERC20 interfaces. Meta transactions, basically, we actually use that in our product. So using a meta transaction, we're able to pay gas fees for our users so that you don't need to have any crypto to use our product. Okay. There's something called a proxy, which has something to do with upgrades. Okay. Upgradable contracts. There's pausable, your homework answers. Also the poll payment pattern, where people have to call withdraw, you don't just send it to them. Okay. They're like token presets, ERC20 implementation. Right. So this is like a suite of smart contracts that you can make use of. And these are not available if you want to use Remix. If you want to use these contracts with Remix, you have to copy and paste every single one of them.
Yeah.
But here, all you do is, at the very top, you see how they do just import. And
Yeah.
going forward, I can just import, okay? I can easily just, does it even work here? I think it does, because this interface actually matches with the opens up interface. Let's see. That's not, is that right? Okay, oh, nice, okay. And I can now, uh-oh. That's the wrong button. Don't get confused, that was the wrong button, okay. Now I can inherit from ownable, and I can delete all these because Open Zeppelin already has it for me. I don't have to write these anymore. Right? I don't need these because Open Zeppelin has it for me. Okay, cool, yeah. So I'll undo all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we're kind of moving away from Remix, because it's quite limiting. It's good for like quick prototypes or do some testing. Like 1 or 2 functions is a great way to make something work quick, but it's not good for actual development. Yeah.
So when we created our like accounts on the Kovan test network, was it still being generated from our previous like I already had MetaMask set up with like some Ethernet? Was my my previous seed phrase being used to create those test account?
Well, okay. So your addresses are the same across all EVM chains if you're using the same private key or the same seed phrase.
Okay,
So it's the same account. It's just on different networks,
sure. Okay,
and
so,
different networks have different balances because of different networks.
okay. So using my my secret phrase on this truffle because we specified it's on Kovan will go to the Kovan
Yes.
account
Yes.
I have the same thing, yeah.
then? Okay.
How do you get your seed phrase?
You have to have saved it from the MetaMask lecture.
I think you can get it from MetaMask.
Can you?
I'm gonna say I think, I don't know.
I
Go to
believe
like I don't know if this is the same thing, but if you go to settings on like the MetaMask Chrome extension and then go to security and privacy, it'll say reveal secret recovery phrase.
okay, then that's it.
Yeah.
And then if you remember like your password,
Yeah, exactly. Then that's it.
But if you take your like real seed phrase, like be really careful you don't push .secret to GitHub.
Yeah, which is why
Your money will be instantly gone, but there's bots that scan
Yes.
those for seed phrases. Like there's people out there who look at,
Yes.
just look at new repositories for seed phrases. So if you're not careful,
Wait, so don't put your real seed phrase in that seed?
Well, you could, but just make sure you add it to Git ignore so it never gets picked up by GitHub.
Oh,
you can just make sure if it gets pushed to GitHub, then
Yeah.
you're pretty much,
Yeah, or keep your repositories private. That's also fine.
that's all, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But don't they become public when you do that, either scan or
Okay,
either verify?
if you have it private and you lose money, then you know it's either me or QTS.
Yeah, okay, fair, yeah.
how do you make it private?
It should already be, like your homework all your homework repositories should be private by default.
Okay.
Otherwise, like you'll be able to see each other's code.
So is it, sorry, I know this is like, I don't know if this is like a
No, no,
stupid
go
question to be asking, but like it's pretty common practice then that people are just putting their stuff up on GitHub, like for the sake of it, for sake of transparency.
But can you?
Yeah, so
Example.
like you're saying like, don't push your secret password phrase on GitHub. Is that because like people will literally search, I mean, they have bots to do it, like will literally search GitHub to find secret passwords to infiltrate contracts?
Yes.
Okay.
Not only secret, well, they don't use it to infiltrate contracts, they use it to transfer all your money out. They also scan for all kinds of API keys. API keys meaning like access tokens that enables, so private access tokens basically enabling anyone with the possession of the token to be able to use resources that will otherwise require an email and password. So let's say Google Cloud Computing API keys. Some people have that in public. Bots will pick that up and then use a Google Cloud to mine crypto. And then the money will come from their associated bank account, but then the money is going to the hacker.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, so if you're not careful, there's like a lot of cases of it happening. Yeah.
So when you have like this phrase, this seed phrase, and when the contract is like deployed and transactions are made, does that mean like
It will be made on behalf of,
that, but it's
Yeah.
not account charged every time, like, so say I'm running your program, that's your seed phrase,
yes, then I will be charged
you will
because,
be charged.
so this C phrase will be charged.
So as a user, using someone else's program, you won't be charged?
No. When you use a program, you sign, remember in 256, you sign transactions with your own private key.
Okay,
So that comes out of your own wallet.
I see, but some of the underlying stuff would come from that account.
Only the contract creation transaction.
Oh, okay, I see.
So the reason why we need this is because when you want to create a contract, it's a transaction.
Mhm.
And you gotta sign it somehow. To sign it, you need a private key. This is how trouble can get it.
So it's a one-time charge then?
Yes, you get charged once every time you deploy.
Every time like anyone?
No, you deploy.
Okay, I see.
So then it would be wise to not, like, let's say within your smart contract, you, like the splitting money thing, like, and let's say a portion of it was going to like me, and this is my secret phrase. It'd be wise to not use this one in case something went wrong and it got pushed to GitHub. It'd be wise to like actually hard code a public address into the smart contract, yes.
What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
Let's say I'm like a company and I'm running and like the smart contract is the product.
Yeah.
It seems kind of silly to have like one private seed phrase that is the root of this entire product, entire like company, the smart contract.
Yeah, that's why they usually use a multi-sig
Okay,
wallet.
okay,
So basically, it's a single address that requires the approval of multiple parties to do something.
oh, okay,
And that kind of account, it's really, so a multi-sig wallet is really a smart contract, so it doesn't have a secret phrase. So to deploy using that, so usually you don't deploy using that, but what happens is we deploy using a normal user account, like an externally owned account, and then you transfer the ownership to the multi-sig wallet,
which then
which then
does
can
another,
govern
yeah,
this thing. Whereas there's like a voting process where multiple people have to approve in order to do something.
thank you.
So for like, I guess like for your company, for example, your guys' is like seed phrase that you have on there, I'm assuming it's multi-sig like you're talking about, but would you have it so like there's a very low balance in there and then you only put money in,
Yeah, we only put what we need,
okay.
Yeah.
To reduce,
yeah, because there's just no reason to put like a huge amount of money. in there. All right, so we're good with this, right? Okay. Moving on. So the next step, okay, so remember, we're still trying to deploy it. Go into, so create a folder within your homework 4 folder called migrations. Okay, migration is the truffle word for deployment. And in that folder, create a new file called one_deploy.js. Or you can name it whatever, but make sure there's like a number and an underscore at the beginning. Okay. Okay, and once you create this file, so your structure, your folder and file structure should look something like this, okay? And once you create it, let me explain what this does. Okay. Const homework 4. Now this is all JavaScript now, as you can tell from the .js extension, okay? Const homework 4. Because JavaScript isn't a strongly typed language, when you declare something, you don't have to say what type it is. Okay, it's either a let or a const. A const meaning it's a constant, meaning it doesn't change. Once you declare it, it won't change. A let meaning that once you declare it, it can still change. Okay, right here we're saying const homework 4. So we're creating a variable called homework 4, and it equals what is equal to artifacts.require homework 4. What does that mean, right? I'll talk about it in a bit. So this basically, actually we'll talk about it right now. Artifacts that require, you're basically importing the compiled version of your homework 4. Okay. And what we're doing here is then we're deploying the compiled bytecode using the truffle deployer. Okay. And let me know when you all have copied all this. This will make sense in a bit.
Which line imports the contract?
First line. And you can ignore any like underlines and whatnot. Don't worry about that. Okay. Yeah.
What folder is this in? Like, how do we find this?
Right here. You create a new folder called migrations.
Okay.
Under the homework 4 folder, and then in there create a new file. Make sure the new file, you can call it whatever, but make sure it starts with a number and then an underscore. Okay. And the extension is .js because it's a JavaScript file. By the way, JavaScript has nothing to do with Java. It's only called JavaScript because it was trying to ride the popularity of Java back in the 90s. It literally has nothing to do with Java. I don't know why they call it JavaScript. All right. Once you've done all this, what I want you to do is bring up a terminal window. Okay. Click on the terminal tab and just do new terminal. Down here, I want you to do run npm CI. I don't have to run it because I've already done it, but you guys run that. Okay. It's gonna take a bit, so it really has to, it will really take a bit. So you should start running it right away. I remember last time.
Yeah, I figured out why it was doing that. I looked at it.
Yeah.
It wanted me to type in my password and then the top part started running. It was a very quick process. I don't know why.
This is CI keyword, what is that?
It's different from I.
Yeah, so I'm asking, what is it?
Yeah, so you know this log file that no one cares about?
Yeah,
Yeah, so so this log file describes a tree structure between all the dependencies.
yeah,
And npm CI, so npm I attempts to make a new log file every time. Whereas npm CI will read from the existing log file and save you some time.
got you.
Yeah. And with npm CI, you can make sure that the versions are always, because if you look in package.json here, sometimes we have this like up arrow before like the versions of whatever plugin or package we have. And this up arrow means any version above that's not breaking is fine, but sometimes it doesn't work. Kind of like how Solidity, we write pragma Solidity up arrow 0.8.0, right? But then you won't know for sure which version is running on. npm CI makes sure that at the versions that you install will always be the same as the versions present in the log file.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm getting some errors, that it's saying it wants me to do npm install.
I got the same.
I think, because we've ran this for local testing. npm CI in the past.
Try to say that we have installed that.
Okay, npm install is fine too. Okay.
So didn't we already do this though?
Because we added 3 new packages. Yeah, okay, yeah, npm CI doesn't work, but yarn works different. I kind of got too mixed up, but yeah, just if npm CI doesn't work, do npm I.
No, it's saying warning.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of warnings, but as long as it keeps going, it's fine. Okay, let me know when you've done it. And today we're gonna end maybe 5 minutes early because I have a meeting at 4.
For the open Zeppelin, did you download that in?
No, it's already present it's already present because I used a template. And OpenZeppelin is already in here.
Mine ended with errors.
Yeah, like where is it in like the
Okay. It's in, once you have to finish npm I or CI, but it's in node modules and then
Okay.
find the OpenZeppelin folder over here. Okay, this folder and then contracts and then all of that.
Oh, cool. I saw it on GitHub for I think 4, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never seen on.
Let's see. You misspelled truffle.
Oh,
Truffle.
I do that too, it's not.
All right, who's still going? We'll have to wait for everyone to finish. In the meantime, let's skip ahead. Open up your browsers, okay? Go to Etherscan and create a new account. Go to etherscan.io and then create a new account. You'll need it. Uh-oh. Create an Etherscan, create a new account. If you already have one, then use your existing. The reason why we're doing this is so that we can get an Etherscan API key, and we'll use it for verification. Okay, so we're skipping ahead while we're waiting for everything to download. And once you're registered, you should be able to see a page that looks something like this. Okay. Let me know when we've all done it. Okay, is everyone good? Who's still kind of installing things or registering new accounts?
On my side.
So installing it.
So after you run npm install, then you do npm CI.
No, you only have to do one or the other.
Oh.
If you already did install, then you're fine. Okay, I'll switch.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go ahead.
There's a plug over here, I think it's closer.
Oh, yeah.
No. How are we doing, guys? Almost.
Actually, can you deploy, so obviously like, obviously like everyone compiles their code and make sure it compiles before deploying, but are you like, can you deploy a contract that's not like, that doesn't?
You won't run compile automatically.
So there's no way to deploy a contract without it compiling
Yeah,
successfully?
because then what are you deploying?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know, maybe there was just a lack of
Yeah,
check
yeah,
and you were able to somehow, but that would just be like a waste of.
yeah, there is it. So
Yeah, that makes logical sense.
43.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge candle going into the bathroom here.
Can you go to the bathroom again? No financial advice, obviously, but I had a limit buy set at 34K. It didn't trigger on Coinbase, but if it wasn't on some other exchange, it would have triggered. That's fine.
Are you either an EVM maxi or an ETH maxi?
I don't care. Whatever works best. I do believe that the Ethereum ecosystem is now too big to fail.
I think EVM as a,
Yeah, as a whole, it's,
whole,
yeah.
you know, even if something outscales ETH in some way, I think EVM is pretty.
because if you look at it, why is Bitcoin the biggest crypto out there? It's not rational. The only reason is because it's the first,
Yeah.
right? It literally has like no other benefit. It's slow, 15 minutes or 10-minute block times, right? It's very old. It has no functionality. Huh?
It's a flip phone.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't have any like programming. It has like some limited scripting capabilities, and that's it. Why does it have so much value? Well, it's just because it's the first.
Isn't the thesis also like the proof of work is really secure though, which is.
I mean, proof of work, they're all more or less equally secure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be proof of work.
Oh, one more question about the Russia thing.
Yeah.
So if their banks are frozen, like I'm trying to think of what would happen to us, like if our like Wells Fargo account didn't work.
Oh yeah, I think that happens quite often, doesn't it? Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
I think Wells Fargo specifically.
But so
I'm
like, if we
surprised
try
Wells
to-
Fargo is doing business after like everything. Like it seems to get fined every single year for doing weird stuff. Anyhow.
Yeah, well, so like if we try to pay for something here, and like nobody has any funds to the bank, then do stores in Russia start accepting crypto?
No idea. I mean, the regular people, they're probably gonna substitute it with like US dollars or whatever. But the thing is, they can't get anything on their hands right now. Oh, is it the spike because what is it, the Russian market's open? Is it free Pacific time or is
Not
it
sure.
free like Eastern time? Whatever. Oh. You can never like rationalize market movements. It's the Chinese New Year again, or Chinese ban crypto for the 20th. Okay, is everyone done doing npm install? Yep. Who is it? Okay, are you still?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. Let's see if truffle works, okay? So let's go back to VS Code, type in npx truffle, see what happens. If it shows you something like this instead of an error, it means truffle is correctly installed.
NPM trouble?
npx.
It's supposed to take a little bit.
Oh, that's.
I took a second one.
It's taking a bit.
I didn't do that.
That's weird. I have no idea why it does that. So maybe wait for a little bit. I don't know, actually. I don't know why it does that. Okay, so some of you didn't do that. But others, it started running things again.
Is yours like the one line that just?
Yeah.
Maybe wait for it, I guess. I don't know. It's not supposed to happen. I guess it's not supposed to happen, but I'm not sure why it's happening.
NPM audit fix maybe.
No, I actually don't know what that does. Okay, so if it's running again, go back to Etherscan, okay? In your account overview, scroll down to API keys, and then create a new one, okay? Click on add here, add a new API key. All right, don't use mine, although like I got it for free, just don't use it.
Whatever we want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Where do you get it from?
Etherscan, your account.
Click add once you're okay.
So on the left side, API keys.
I mean, the API itself, is that under? Oh, or I thought you have to provide it.
Okay, once that's done, Copy this key, okay? Once it's done, copy it. Go back to VS Code. Go to truffleconfig.js. Scroll to the bottom. And then replace the API key thing on line 75. Replace it with your own API. Let me know when you've done this. Bitcoin's actually at 43. I gotta see it for myself.
Not for long, I don't believe
Not
it.
for long.
I don't know. I'm not believing in pumps.
Oh,
I think you can still have bearish action in that, or bullish action in a bearish market.
the war screws with all the markets.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
Well, you know what they say, buy the dip and it keeps dipping. Don't chase the higher, but it keeps going higher. The moment you buy will be the top. And the moment you sell will be the bottom. So please take one for the team. Okay. Has anyone done this and are your things still running?
No, mine finished.
Okay, Chase, is yours still running?
I'm good.
Okay, so if you just type in npx truffle again, it shouldn't run anymore. Try it again.
Doing it again, but I got the same page that you did last time. Yeah, I got that last.
Doing it again, wait,
It's because it's doing one line. What? But I got it. Clearly.
I'm very confused. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna first run npx truffle compile.
Should we all do this or just them?
Except them.
Okay.
Well, we will all do it, but for you guys, hold on, okay? So for the rest of us who don't have the one line problem, do npx truffle compile. For me, I've already compiled, so it's gonna tell me everything that's up to date. But for you guys, it's gonna show something different, okay? And what's gonna happen is that something is gonna get generated under the build/contracts folder, okay? And this is the compiled version of your homework form, okay? We have the contract name, we have the ABI, so you can see there, it's actually quite self-explanatory, right? You have, so this is, what's the type of the function? Is a constructor, it's not payable, okay? So, and then these are all the actual functions, right? Let's see. Okay, so these are the, let's see, what are these? Okay, event. This defines an event. The event name is an event, 2 different parameters that the event takes, okay? And then we have the, this is, so, and this one defines our getMax function, right? The input is is an array, the output is a number, right? So this just kind of describes what our functions are, okay? And if we fold this, like all the API, this bytecode, this entire thing, okay? This code, let me copy and paste it to show you. This thing is your compiled contract in one line, okay? How many characters? 3,767 characters, okay? That's our compiled smart contract, right? So the point is, we use it, so the point is, this is what the artifacts that requires getting when we're in the deployment script. Okay, so this file is what this is referring to. All right. It's also like source map and everything. See, it also has a source code in here, like source. We see it's compressed everything into a one-liner. Okay.
should we run it if it's?
No, run for, so now we have the compiled version for you guys. Let's run truffle migrate -- network Kovan. Okay. You're gonna see some interesting stuff happening. All right, so now we're deploying our stuff in Kovan.
Once again, NPX truffle migrate.
-- network Kovan. So over
Wait,
here.
but in case the previous.
You don't have to, because when you do migrate, it compiles for you. But I didn't want you guys to do it because it takes too long for you guys to run a single command. For the others, I wanted to show them like the compiled JSON file. But doing migrate also compiles it, it checks if everything's up to date.
The migrate.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Right? So now you can see here the transaction hash of our deployment transaction blocks 2, meaning that I think that's like it took 2 blocks to be included. Contract address, this is the address of our deployed contract, right? There's the number of the block that the transaction is included in, timestamp. The deployment account, so the public address of this private key that I provided, right? The balance of my account, gas use, gas price, and everything. Okay, and here's the total cost at the very end. It's very cheap because it's on Kovan, everything's fake.
That didn't show up for me. I got like a
Yeah.
bunch of
Let's see.
other stuff.
What
They went
you get?
through.
Oh, yeah. That's because okay, it's saying your seed phrase isn't correct. Can you double check?
Yeah.
Maybe. Did you type it in or did you copy and paste? Copy it. Interesting. Who else has it working? Kovan. Oh, NPX truffle migrate network Kovan. Good. Yeah, you just gotta wait. Yep, there you go. There we go. You can actually search for that address in your block explorer after like 10-20 seconds because it takes a bit to update. But then you'll see your contract up there. Who else has an error?
Yeah, I just didn't have sufficient funds in my account.
Yeah, because that's probably because your Kovan address doesn't, your Kovan account doesn't have any test ether.
Yeah, so I just went.
You have to get it from the faucet that we talked about.
Got it.
So just search for Chainlink Kovan faucet and you'll see it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for confirmation now.
Yeah,
So if we change our secret phrase, do we have to recompile it? And
you don't have to. It's just gonna, when you deploy, it's gonna, the owner to deploy and the owner's gonna be the very.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can, like, if I want to change it right now, I just change it and then do the migrate thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it again? NPX.
NPX truffle migrates. So it's up here, I'll highlight it.
Right.
Top line.
So like mine use more gas, for example, that's just because like the functions are less efficient or something like that.
Your contract's bigger and your constructor is more complicated. That would require that would kind of result in a gas increase.
Yeah, my son said it's wrong.
Let's see.
That's the phrase.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't save it. Okay. And make sure to save the other files too. When you see the little white dot, it means you didn't save.
White dot where?
On the
Oh,
top.
yeah, so I have to go through and save them all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. And now if we go to, if we copy and paste the transaction hash, right? Go to Etherscan to look it up and remember, you gotta go to the Kovan Etherscan. Uh-oh, unable to locate what's going on. Oops. Now, this is awkward. Let's take a look at this one. Ah, interesting. It looks like this one, that didn't work somehow. Okay, check yours if yours work. It's possible that yours work, but mine sometimes it does that for some reason. Okay. Hmm?
Mine,
Okay, it's not found.
it's a, yeah, exact same thing, sorry.
Oh, there we go. I think that, okay, so the code, okay, there we go, okay. The Kovan block explorer just had like a moment, okay. Now you see the timestamp is 5 minutes ago, okay. And from is my account, to, we see it's a contract created. Right, and you can see more details if you want to. Okay, and if we click into this one, we're gonna see that this is our contract. And mine already have like a similar match code stores. This is because I already did a test run last night or this morning, 2 AM. And I already verified it. So now it's able to find similar, it's able to find contracts with similar bytecode and assume that they come from the same source code. But yours probably don't have this. And for yours, it shouldn't say any of these, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't show that at all.
Okay, that's good.
It just shows the bytecode.
Okay, that's good. So can one of you help me out by sharing your screen on Zoom? Because mine already works, so it won't help, but one of you guys, who wants to volunteer to share their screen?
It works, it's on the test net,
Can you share your screen?
again, soon.
We enable it. And in the meantime, make sure in truffle config.js, you have your Etherscan API key updated, okay? It'll be funny if the war is the thing that kicks Bitcoin back into the bull run. It'll be very, very interesting. All right, Chase, I see you. Go ahead and share your screen. Share your VS Code this one, or share your Etherscan first. Yeah. Nice. All right, so click into contract. Yes. Click on contract, this tab. Okay. So you see that you don't see anything. You see a bunch of bytecode. You have no idea what this contract does or anything, right? And this is why we want to verify it so that people can know what the heck your code is actually doing. And a way to do that, Chase, can you switch back to VS Code? Right, cool. And yes, nice. So Chase already has the Etherscan API key updated. I can see it's different from mine. So what you want to run here is npx truffle run verify homework 4 -- network Kovan. Yes, and yes, you can go ahead and run it. Oh man. Why does it do this? Let me Google this. I don't know why it does that. npx. Why does npx install every time? npx reinstalls every time.
Could this be something that happens quickly?
It shouldn't happen at all.
Oh, I mean, the command verify.
Oh, wait, what is it? Oh, it should be very quick.
Okay.
It takes a bit. It takes like, it depends.
Mine's still.
It's still okay, that's fine. Maybe it's not the best idea to let Chase do it, but that's fine. We're already here, so let's just wait for it. You know, this is a good reason for you to get like a new MacBook.
I have a question while we're waiting.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a contract that's unverified.
Yeah.
But you know. Can you still tell what functions are being called from an unverified contract by like looking at the transaction, right? Like if you look at the transaction, does it not say like, this function? Okay, because my overall like leading question to that was like, can you interact with a function? You must be able to interact with a function that's not verified.
You have to know the exact function signature.
Okay,
Otherwise, it will go back to something called a fallback function, which is a function that's called when you call a contract with a function that doesn't match any of its existing signatures. It will be redirected to something called a fallback function. And by default, it just reverts.
So when like certain like NFTs, you
Oh, okay, still going. Yeah.
like certain NFTs, like you can look at like the right contract and feature scan and then like hit to do that. Is that because
Yeah,
of that
because they verified it, yes. Yeah, it's actually recompiling everything. We gotta, I had to find a fix for this. This is terrible. And you ran npm-i, right?
So like for the midterm of the past homework, I had to do the yarn one.
And did you do yarn this time?
No,
Did you do npm-i?
npm install.
Maybe yarn's better, I don't know. It's fine. This is like right back. So try yarn after class and see if it like still does this. I usually prefer yarn because yarn can download and build things in parallel. Whereas npm is like, you have to do one after the other, so it's slower. Ah, yikes, Chase. Did you, I think K should be lowercase. Go on. Yikes. Okay, run yarn install --frozen -log file. --. You're missing an alpha. Frozen -log file. No space bar between frozen and log file. You have to use your arrow keys to go back. Uh-oh, deleted the wrong one. There's still the space. There we go, okay. Try running this. This should go much faster. Let's hope we can verify this before the content. See, that already looks like more progress. That already looks better than npm. I don't know, because you can see more printouts and I'm just assuming it's getting more things done. And you can kind of briefly look at the various dependencies of the different packages. It's interesting. Truffle actually has dependencies to IPFS because apparently you're able to, I've never tried it, but they have a function to upload your stuff to IPFS, your contracts. And you already know it's better when they have an emoji. I hope this is the last time. Wait, Chase. Does this show up just on its own? Assignment homework form? Wow. I didn't know that. Okay, so for those of you who've already done it, you should be able to see your source code on Etherscan now, right? And you're able to interact with the contracts under the read contract and write contract tabs, just kind of like how you do it on Eclipse. I keep saying Eclipse. Remix. Why do you keep saying Eclipse? It's been half a semester and I'm still saying,
It was like when you showed us the USDC
yeah.
code, it's like the same thing.
Yeah. I think I keep saying Eclipse because I'm so used to TAing for CS201, which is in Java, which uses Eclipse, which is a piece of junk. See, now Yarn is building things in parallel as opposed to NPM doing things kind of strictly in order. It also kind of makes me appreciate, that's an Intel map, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it makes me appreciate how fast the M1 maps are.
I think it's.
I did have one,
M1?
yeah,
Wait, I think I did.
boy, I'm having the same.
You said dual boot M1s though. You can't.
Oh, that's why I have a gaming PC.
I like having Windows.
M2 chip is coming out next month.
It is coming out.
Trying to get that. On this
Yes.
year.
Yes, yes. Oh, the speed can also have something to do with the Wi-Fi speed. It's still like slower than what I usually expect.
So this whole read-write stuff on Etherscan,
Yeah,
what's the purpose of doing it on Etherscan? Wouldn't you have tested it beforehand?
yeah, but for something like say, let's say minting NFTs, you can just mint it there.
Okay, cool.
Oh, there we go, it's done. Moment of truth, let's try the truffle command one more time. Just hit the up arrow. Twice. No, like the up arrow, like
see.
literally the up arrow, yeah. Hit it again, and change the K to lowercase. Use arrow keys to get to that. Oh, yeah, now I have two Ks. There we go. Let's run this again. Please. Nice. There we go. So it's an NPM thing. Freaking terrible. So everyone use Yarn from now on. It's verifying and very quickly, within seconds or tenths of seconds, it should be verified. But if you make some changes to your source code, it will fail. Because then the new compiled version wouldn't match with the one that's on chain.
What determines if the ABI changes? Is it any
Function
line of
signature.
code or is it just a function
Function
signature?
signature,
If
yeah.
you make new functions or change the signatures, then the ABI changes, but if you like only edit the inside of the function.
Yeah, and
then it
that
doesn't change.
and that's why we sometimes make use of interface files.
Mhm.
Because an interface, when you compile it, it only consists of the ABIs and nothing else, so it's very
Gotcha.
lightweight.
Verified.
Okay, cool, so command click to go to that webpage. There we are. All right, you see this check mark, yep, there we go, you see it's verifying now. And you can look at the source code, but you can also read and write to them, just like how you can do it from Remix. Now, that's all your code, right? So just go to read and write, click on any one of those, doesn't matter, read. It's gonna have all the view functions in there, view and pure, okay? So get match, well, why don't we try to use get max here? So click on it, okay? So type in an array of some numbers. You gotta enclose them with square brackets. Square brackets, yeah. And click on query.
I think you have to do them in.
Okay, I think you have to do them in
You put it in string.
I do them in-
or maybe you don't need the brackets. I've actually never called an array from here before. Okay, I don't know. Anyhow, doesn't matter. But let's take a look at owner. And that's the address of your MetaMask account. Paused, if it's paused, if you click on it, it's not paused. And bounces off, well, you have two, interesting. But you can basically copy and paste an address in there and then it's gonna show you the balance. If you go to write contract, Okay, and then for this to work, you have to click on connect to Web3. And that MetaMask should pop up. Click on MetaMask. Okay, it should pop up. You should just allow it. Just click next. Connect. Okay, so now you're able to call the various functions and click on connect to Web3 again. Click on MetaMask again, it's non-intuitive, and click OK. And now you're able to interact with any of the functions that generate transactions. Yeah. So as the example, let's just do toggle pause here. Okay, click on write. Here we go. Now you're so scroll down. Don't worry about any of that. Or just click on the X to close it. It's terrible UI design. Click on confirm. Remember, pause was false. Okay. Now after it's so let's wait for a bit. Wait for MetaMask to confirm our transaction. It's going to show us. Taking a bit.
So he's interacting with his smart contract through his MetaMask account, just since it's a plugin.
Yes. And actually, let's click on view your transaction. I want to see the status of it. Okay, it's just really slow. But when it confirms, and if you go back to the pause when you read it, it should be followed to true now because you just interacted with it. So that's more or less how we how to deploy and interact with stuff. You can go to USDC's contract and interact with it in the same way. Yeah. Or any contract that's verified. Yeah, I guess that's about it for today. Just and also this shows you how stupid NPM is. But aside from that, thanks for coming, everyone, and have a good one. Have a good day.
Were you able to get him on Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.